The emergency klaxons aboard the Stellar Concordance had been wailing for 3 hours when Ambassador Zexathari finally admitted what everyone already knew. They were all going to die. The atmospheric processors are completely fried, the Valorian diplomat announced to the assembled council, his crystalline carapace clicking nervously. Without environmental suits, none of us can survive on Kepler 442b's surface long enough to reach the emergency beacon. Around the circular chamber, representatives from a dozen species shifted uncomfortably in their climate-controlled seats. The Threnody delegation's methane-breathing apparatus hissed softly. The aquatic Mercalli floated in their portable tanks, tentacles writhing with anxiety. Even the hardy silicon-based Quartzians looked concerned, their mineral faces reflecting the emergency lighting. "How long do our reserves last?" asked Commander Veltar, the mission's draconian leader. 18 hours, Zexathari replied grimly. "The planet's atmosphere is nominally oxygen-nitrogen, but the solar radiation is lethal. The atmospheric pressure is 30% higher than most of our homeworlds can handle, and the temperature swings are extreme. We'd need full environmental protection to survive more than minutes." A collective sigh of despair rippled through the chamber. This was supposed to have been a routine diplomatic mission to establish first contact with the newly discovered human colony on Kepler 442b. Instead, it had become a death sentence. That's when David Chen spoke up from the back of the room. "Actually," the human liaison said, standing slowly, "I think I might be able to help with that." Every alien eye, sensor, and optical organ turned toward him. Chen was unremarkable by human standards. Average height, brown hair going gray at the temples, wearing the standard-issue blue jumpsuit of Earth's diplomatic corps. But in this room full of beings who required elaborate life support systems just to exist outside their homeworlds, he looked impossibly fragile. "Human Chen," Commander Veltar said carefully, "while we appreciate your optimism, the environmental readings are quite clear. No organic being can survive those conditions without protection." Chen smiled, a gesture that made several species instinctively recoil. "See, that's where you might be wrong. What exactly are the surface conditions?" Zexathari consulted his readings. Surface temperature ranges from -40 to +60 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric pressure is 1.3 standard atmospheres. Oxygen content is 18%. Nitrogen 78% with trace gases. And the UV radiation index is, well, it's off our measurement scale. Humidity? Variable. Currently 60%. Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Any toxic gases? Corrosive elements?" "None detected." "What about wind patterns?" "Precipitation? Minimal wind. Some scattered cloud cover providing intermittent shade." The human was quiet for a moment, then reached up and began unfastening his helmet seals. "Human Chen, what are you doing?" Veltar's voice rose an octave. "Testing a theory," Chen replied, pulling off his helmet with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure. Every alien in the room gasped, clicked, or made whatever sound their species associated with horror. Chen took a deep breath of the ship's air and grinned. "Feels fine. Now about that sunscreen. Do we have any SPF 50 in the supply lockers?" The silence stretched for nearly 30 seconds. You removed your helmet," whispered Mercalli Prime Floater Gluberesh, her translator crackling with static. "Are you experiencing oxygen deprivation psychosis?" "Nope. Feeling great, actually." Chen stretched, then looked around the room at their shocked faces. "Look, I know this might be hard to understand, but humans are kind of adaptable. Those conditions you described? That's basically a nice day in Phoenix, Arizona, or maybe a winter morning in Minnesota. The pressure's a bit high, but nothing we can't handle. And the UV situation is annoying, but that's what sunscreen is for." Dr. Krikash, the expedition's Zephyrian xenobiologist, stepped forward on her 6 spindly legs. "Impossible. No species evolves to survive such varied extremes." "Well," Chen said, "that's where Earth comes in. See, our planet doesn't really have ideal conditions anywhere. We've got deserts that hit 60 degrees during the day and drop below freezing at night. Mountains where the air is so thin you can barely breathe. Polar regions that would freeze most of you solid in minutes. Equatorial zones with UV radiation that would cook you. Our ancestors had to deal with ice ages, volcanic winters, continental drift, asteroid impacts." He paused, noting their stunned expressions. "Basically, Earth spent 4 billion years trying to kill us, so we evolved to be really, really hard to kill. Plus, we invented SPF 50. Commander Veltar slowly removed his own helmet, then immediately began choking and gasping. Chen helped him get it back on. Right, so here's what I'm thinking, Chen continued. I go down to the surface, hike to the emergency beacon. What's the distance? 12 kilometers, Zexathari answered weakly. Easy. I activate the beacon, wait for rescue, maybe work on my tan. Everyone else stays here in climate control until the cavalry arrives. The solar radiation will kill you, Dr. Crickash insisted. Chen shrugged. Probably give me a nasty sunburn if I'm not careful. That's why I need the sunscreen. Maybe a hat too if we've got one. The temperature swings, I'll pack a jacket. The atmospheric pressure. I grew up in Denver. Mile-high city, thin air. This'll be like visiting the beach. You cannot be serious, Veltar said. Dead serious. Chen was already moving toward the equipment lockers. Look, I appreciate the concern, but trust me on this. Humans didn't become a spacefaring species by being delicate flowers. We're basically the galactic equivalent of cockroaches, really hard to get rid of. He found the sunscreen and what looked like a decent hiking pack. Besides, if something goes wrong, you can always put "he died trying to save everyone" on my tombstone. Earth loves that kind of thing. 3 hours later, the assembled alien dignitaries watched through the ship's cameras as David Chen whistled his way across Kepler 442b's surface. Wearing nothing but his jumpsuit, hiking boots, and a generous coating of SPF 50. He'd found a baseball cap somewhere and was wearing it backwards. When the first rescue ship arrived 2 days later, they found him sitting by the beacon reading a book, having apparently used the time to work on his tan. The incident became legend throughout the galaxy. Humans, it was noted in official first contact protocols, required surprisingly little in the way of environmental protection. Some species found this disturbing. Others found it impressive. Most found it deeply, profoundly unfair. But they all agreed on one thing. Next time they were bringing extra sunscreen.